Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on turbotax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live full service.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
Chicago to your speakers.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, or even if you just want to go ahead and get your hot take off, go ahead, give us a call, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play it back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So, not sure about you, but basketball season's still going strong right now. So, go ahead, purchase those tickets, create that account, do what you got to do, and make sure you save $20 when you go to that next concert or something. However, something else has definitely had our attention. It's not basketball. It's the free agency in the NFL right now because it's been on a tear. It's been very eventful, I should say. Twitter was down. A lot of people get their news from Twitter. You check out all the football pages and all the reporters and stuff. This is how they deliver news nowadays, is through social media. So with Twitter being down, you miss a lot of things. You catch some things. And yeah, sometimes you just don't get to catch anything at all. But with that being said, man, there's been a lot of different deals that's been happening in the free agency. The day one, which was today. And, people got moved around. Trades happened. I didn't collect all of the trades, man. I was really trying. I tried to give y'all everything y'all would need when you listen to this so you could be fully updated. But, bro, with Twitter being down, it was so difficult. It was so inconvenient to try and figure out who went where and who signed to who and who got traded for what. Like, with Twitter being down, you were finding out almost every other 30 minutes. And, yeah, it was crazy. So, yeah, things were behind. Some guys signed new deals, and I was hours behind. And then you got another trade that happened and sent the guy somewhere. So, it was a lot of chaos. I'm going to just keep it at that. However, I want to rate the most impressive to the disappointing moves in the NFL free agency. And I'm not going to go through all of the teams, but some of the teams that stood out to me so far that I thought was very, very impressive. That first team happens to be the Chicago Bears. And, hey, it's about damn time for the Bears that they finally doing something right. It's safe to say the Chicago Bears is arguably won the offseason again. I mean, you brought Ben Johnson in. You brought multiple coaches that were on the Lions staff. You brought in new pieces from before the free agency even started. And then now you bring in multiple all-pros on that line, like offense and defense. Yeah, I think it's safe to say the Bears have won. Joe Thuney, this dude, he's been balling. 4-time All-Pro offensive lineman. Drew Dalman, All-Pro center offensive lineman. Chris Williams, Jonah Jackson. Then you add Grady Jarrett on the defensive line. Like the Bears, they're winning this offseason so far. But this is nothing new. This is how you build a successful team. And you can have all the skill guys you want, but if you don't have guys in those trenches putting in work, it clearly will not work. And that's what we've seen from the Chicago Bears last year. So, one of the things is the Bears had the third worst rushing game and the absolute worst passing game in the NFC last year. And that was not all on one person. It was because they could not get things done in the trenches where it really mattered most. So with this all being said, if the Bears are doing good, they're picking up people, they're bringing pieces over and making it look like they're winning the offseason. My only concern with the Bears is just getting everything to translate onto the field, because this has never been an issue for the Chicago Bears picking up the talent. We've seen them pick up talent last year. We've seen them be the face of the offseason last year and win the offseason last year, but it just couldn't transfer over to the field. So now with them picking up all these different pieces, I think it will work better now that they picked up some important pieces to actually get the ball moving downfield, starting from the line is what I mean. But it's always a concern. You never really know. So shout out to the Bears. They've been doing good, though, so far. And obviously, it's still, it's only day one of free agency right now. So you can't really say, oh, they're bad, they're really good, or, they're the best so far. But, I mean, it's looking like they're about to take the offseason again and really turn things around. So I'm happy for them that they're doing their thing. Another impressive team as well was the Washington Commanders. They've been making a lot of solid moves. The Pittsburgh Steelers has been making some solid moves as well. I think the biggest move from the Steelers was the DK Metcalf move. He moved over from the Seattle Seahawks. He was traded. And now you got George Pickens and DK Metcalf over there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know a lot of people are talking about, oh, man, this is such a talented duo at the receiving end. But I'm more so thinking about how physical and aggressive this team is. Now, look, if Mike Tomlin can somehow manage to become a coach that wins more than 9 games like he's been doing the past few seasons, if he can win more than 9 games and keep these guys under control, meaning DK Metcalf and George Pickens, damn it, the Steelers should re-sign him. But if the Steelers see another 8-8 season, a 9-8, 8-9, whatever the case is, a first-round exit, it shouldn't even be a discussion if Mike Tomlin needs to be fired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has to go if that's the case, but in a good situation. Still looking for a quarterback is what we see from the Steelers right now. But ultimately, they've been making the moves in the correct decision, in the correct direction. They also picked up Darius Slay, which was huge as well for them. I mean, that guy is going to add a huge amount of safety in that secondary bin, in that backfield. So happy to see that happen. But those are some of the teams that stood out to me in terms of being impressive so far. You got the Commanders. They've been killing it. Steelers. And obviously the Chicago Bears. Another sleeper team that you could possibly argue is the Arizona Cardinals as well. But I'm not going to throw too many teams at you. So again, those are the main teams. But there's one specific team I thought it was disappointing. And most people probably won't see it as a disappointing type of deal or a type of trade that was very disappointing. But one of the ones, the worst move, I think it's possibly one of the worst moves that we've seen in the offseason so far. And it's not because the guy isn't deserving or it's not because he's bad or anything. But my thing is, the only move that's worse than not making a move at all is putting your team down for the count and making the situation worse than what they've been in over the past 3 to 4 years. The Cleveland Browns, they signed Myles Garrett to a 4-year extension, $123 million guaranteed, on an average of $40 million a year. Now, mind you, again, Garrett is deserving of every single penny. He's worked for it. He obviously has the talent. He has the stats to back it all up as well to become the most highest paid non-quarterback player right now. So I'm not upset at Garrett for getting his money. I'm more so upset at the Cleveland Browns for not letting him walk away. This is exactly why you're in a situation that you're in, why you've been struggling to win games and fill the roster with pieces that you need in order to win ball games and actually have a successful season. It's because you take all your money and you pay it to one single person. You don't spread the love. You don't put it over there in that position. You don't put it over there in that position. You take all of your money, and instead of going to get multiple free agents or trading a valuable guy like Garrett for multiple draft picks so you can get guys on smaller contracts and save some money, you decide, you know what? I know we're not perfect over there in this area of the field. We're not perfect over there in this area of the field, but we're going to keep Myles Garrett. We're going to pay him all the money we got. It's insane to me. Now the Browns are back to square one. Now they're back in the same situation from Deshaun Watson. So you didn't learn anything. Didn't learn a single thing of why you shouldn't have paid Deshaun Watson all that money. And again, Myles Garrett is worth it. But we thought the same thing with Deshaun Watson until he continued to get hurt. Not saying that Garrett is going to get hurt. I don't want him to get hurt. But either way it goes, Myles Garrett is not enough to go turn your franchise all the way into a winning team when you still need help in multiple areas of the field. So what are you doing? This is why the Browns stink the way they do. So they should be ashamed of themselves. And that, to me, that's the most disappointing move that they made. I know there's teams out there who hasn't made any move right now, and you're like, oh man, well damn, I wish my team would at least do something. Look, would you rather your team spend all the money on one person or save their money, keep their mouth shut, and just wait until the opportunity comes to them? That's what your team is probably doing if they ain't making no moves, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys, because we know how they get down. But that's a side note, and that's a stray at them. But other than that, man, look, the Browns, that's rough. That's rough. You could have man, I could think of 50 different scenarios, and I could sit on here all day and talk to y'all about all the different scenarios that the Browns could have done to elevate the situation and to get Myles Garrett to a contending team. He said he wanted to win, and I ain't mad at him for taking it. Because, yeah, everybody want to win until one of these teams come at you and say, hey, look, bro, I got 100 and something mil guaranteed for you. Just stay here. So I get it. I get why Myles Garrett was like, I'm going to stay in Cleveland. I would have stayed in Cleveland my damn self. So I'm not mad at him for doing that. I'm just more so upset at the Browns that they didn't let him go and invest this money in other areas of the team that could really help them become a complete team. So that's my only thing. It's mind-blowing, man. It's mind-blowing. But, hey, this is exactly why the Cleveland Browns are a bad team right now. So we'll see. Anyway, look, man, we got some news for the run. And again, a lot of NFL news, a lot of free agent signings and deals and stuff like that going on. So stay tuned. We'll try and update you on all of that. But I can't promise you'll get the full update because things are literally changing as I record this right now. There's new people getting traded, new people signing. Literally all of it is changing right now. So this is why I'm only telling you the short things. I'm not even going to tell you any other rumors. But stay tuned. We got the news. It's halftime.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it, man. We got some news here for the run. And starting off with the NFL, because like I said, it's a lot of news here. Anyway, so the first big news that we received ahead of all of the free agency deals was that DK Metcalf signed a new 5-year, $150 million contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers, they did have to trade with the Seattle Seahawks, so they traded a 2025 second-round pick, and DK Metcalf was included in that, but ultimately he did sign a new deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you had the New York Jets. They signed Justin Fields to a new deal. 2 years, $40 million. Justin Fields, now a New York Jet. He's reunited with his old teammate and Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. So crazy deal there. And then now, obviously, that's the same duo from Ohio State when they both were there. So I'm interested to see how that goes. The Eagles, they traded for Kenny Pickett, and he signed with the Cleveland Browns, or they traded with the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry. The Eagles, they traded Kenny Pickett to the Cleveland Browns for a 2025 5th-round pick and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Now, you also have the 49ers in the mix as well. Cornerback Charjavius Ward, he signed a new deal with them, 3 years, $60 million to the Indianapolis Colts. So great pickup for the Colts. They've been making some moves as well, moving very quiet, but definitely some impactful moves there. The Miami Dolphins and Zach Wilson reached an agreement on a 1-year, $6 million deal. The Patriots, they also been in the mix a lot, and they're signing quarterback Josh Dobbs to a 2-year deal. And then also the Rams, they signed wide receiver Devontae Adams to a 2-year deal worth $46 million with $26 million guaranteed. Devontae Adams is no longer a New York Jet. He is now a Los Angeles Ram. Now, as we continue on, it gets a little crazier. And the Bears, this is why I gave them an award of, really winning the offseason. So they agreed to a 3-year deal up to $42 million with center Drew Dalman from the Atlanta Falcons. He's a free agent, so it was just a new contract for him, but definitely worth it. Dalman is a hell of a player. Big loss for the Atlanta Falcons, unfortunately. The Jaguars, they signed Jordan Lewis, the cornerback, to a 3-year deal worth $30 million. Then another cornerback, Carlton Davis, he agreed to a 3-year deal worth $60 million with the New England Patriots. So it's crazy. Patriots, they're still in the mix now. They've been killing it. But the Jaguars, they're still there too. So they signed wide receiver De'Ami Brown to a 1-year deal worth $10 million. Solid pickup. De'Ami Brown had a great year. And then the Buffalo Bills, they signed wide receiver Joshua Palmer to a 3-year deal worth $36 million. Cardinals is out here as well. They got the new pass rusher Joshua Sweat. They signed him to a 4-year deal, $76 million there. And then Josh Allen, he really kind of just set the record straight. He got the largest guarantee in NFL history, $250 million. He signed a contract with the Buffalo Bills, agreeing to a 6-year deal, $330 million contract extension. Just truly crazy there. And now he's one of the highest paid ever and the largest guarantee ever. Just wild. But the Seattle Seahawks, they didn't sign an incredible deal that large, but they did find themselves a new quarterback, considering Geno Smith is no longer there, and I'll explain in a second. But the Seahawks, they signed Sam Darnold to a 3-year deal worth $100 million. I think that's something that's solid for Sam Darnold. And then, as I mentioned, Geno Smith, he's headed over to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 3rd-round pick. Now, this wasn't a free agent deal. He was traded over there. So the Seahawks, they ended up getting a 3rd-round pick in return. And Geno Smith, he headed to the Raiders. So it's a lot of crazy stuff going out there. And again, there's probably going to be so much more by the time you even hear this. So just keep your ears open and you got to hear it. But last thing I got here is the Atlanta Falcons. Man, they lost a good one. I'll put it that way. I almost want to give a moment of silence for the legend that they just lost on their team. But Grady Jarrett, he's now in Atlanta. He's now a Chicago Bear, which is even crazier to think of. But this is a dude in Grady Jarrett, man, displayed a great amount of professionalism, showed up to work every day, stayed healthy, was consistent in his production on the field, and he really gave a huge bang for his buck in the Atlanta Falcons. But I know it's a lot of people out there, especially Falcons fans, where it's like, well, why didn't they just sign him again? You got to keep talent like that. And I understand that. I'm the first to tell you, hey, you don't be cheap when it comes to paying for good talent and paying for production. You can't be cheap in that aspect. However, the thing is, with the Atlanta Falcons, I don't think they necessarily were being cheap when they were trying to get rid of Grady Jarrett, and also same with Drew Dalman. Like, you got to remember, like, Grady Jarrett, he just signed a 3-year, $43 million deal with the Chicago Bears. Falcons did not have that type of money. Drew Dalman just signed a 3-year, $42 million deal with the Chicago Bears. Falcons did not have enough money to pay both of them and also continue on to make moves and build the rest of the roster. So for me, I'm like content that, okay, yeah, Falcons didn't get their main guys back, but at least I know that there's still room for other guys to go around, and there's still room for moves to be made without actually hurting us and putting us in a hole. We're finally above the cap space, so we're not in the negative anymore. But, I mean, I'd much rather players get let go than overpay at their age and then overpay for a guy who's only going to be in the NFL and going to be at that elite skill set for so much longer. So I don't want to get hurt down the line. And that's probably my biggest, that's my biggest thought when it comes to bringing in new people and possibly getting rid of people. So Right now, because the Atlanta Falcons don't really have much on the D-line, that's still an area that we're struggling with in terms of finding people to put on the D-line, maybe even drafting people. But I'm hoping Terry Fontenot continues to put people in the right places. I expect, in the draft for us to grab a defensive lineman for sure. If anything, an O-lineman just to add a little depth there. But for sure, we need an edge rusher, man. And there's a lot of edge rushers in the draft that the Falcons can continue on and grab. With the 15th pick, that's not an awful pick. You still got a lot of people. We may not obviously get Abdul Carter, which I would love, but monster edge rusher, but there's still a lot of guys out there, man. Georgia still got 2 dogs out there, Mikael Williams, and you still got Jalen Walker. So I don't know how far those guys will go down, but I'm just going to trust that Falcons will continue on to make moves. And then obviously you want to keep talent there while you have, a good quarterback and while you have some pieces going. So, letting Grady Jarrett walk and letting Drew Dalman walk as well, I think it's okay. And honestly, you know what? I'll even go out on a whim and say this. It might sound a little crazy hearing the initial thoughts. Okay, I get Grady Jarrett, we kind of had to let go, but some people are mad about Drew Dalman, and I'm not really upset about Drew Dalman. Yeah, he's an all-pro. He's a great center. He's very young. He's got a huge future ahead of him. But I've seen him also make a lot of mistakes this season, too. So don't get it twisted. I know Dalman is good, and I'm glad he's going with the Bears. I'm glad he got paid. But I'm not upset that the Atlanta Falcons did not pay him or overpay him for what he's done so far with the organization. Because there was a lot of bad snaps that I've seen in this previous season. And maybe it wasn't all on him. Maybe it was the cadence that was throwing him off. But it was far too many bad snaps. And I know Dalman is good, and I think he'll thrive with the Bears. They got a good little setup over there going on. But for the Falcons, still got some pieces. We brought back Jake Matthews, which is huge. Also another big O-line piece there. We still got Lindstrom there. So, it's not completely all or nothing with the Atlanta Falcons right now. We still got pieces to work with, and it's not like losing one center is going to just make us plummet in terms of the offensive productivity. So what I'm expecting here is let's go in the draft. Let's grab a defensive lineman. Let's continue to make moves in free agency. Maybe we bring in other guys on cheaper contracts, which is good. Or I'm always open to trading and somehow getting more draft picks to get people on cheaper contracts, because based on what I've seen over the past 4 to 5 years, that seems to be the route to go. Go ahead, get these guys from the draft, get them on a smaller contract, and elevate them. That way, you're getting a big bang for your buck. And obviously, if they deserve the higher pay, then you do it. You send them on another 3-year deal. You send them on another 2-year deal, whatever the case is. But as of right now, I don't think the Falcons are ruined. We still got plenty of talent there. The offense is still going to thrive, at least in my opinion. So I hope so. But other than that, no, man, that's all I got for y'all. I appreciate you for kicking it with me, hanging, especially if you listen to the whole episode, man. I definitely appreciate it. Leave us a quick take on the voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And, of course, I'll play your take back. Let me know what you think about all the free agency stuff. I'm curious to who you think is the winner of free agency so far, or what team is had the most explosive free agency so far. Like I said, the Bears obviously doing really good so far this offseason. They won the offseason last year, but was terrible during the regular season. And then this year, it's kind of looking like a similar thing of them winning the offseason. But you got to keep in mind, Jaguars done made some moves. Steelers done made a lot of moves. Patriots done made some good moves. And I'm on the side. I know it's still teams out there that ain't make nothing happen, but I'm on the side of I'd rather make a correct move or no move at all before I go out here and lay an egg and make my franchise, make my team worse. So just keep that in mind unless you're a Cowboys fan. If you're a Cowboys fan, you just stink. Your team stinks. I'm sorry. I haven't bullied Cowboys fans in a long time. So, excuse me for doing it. It's finally able to be relevant in bullying the Cowboys. But other than that, look, that's all I got, man. I appreciate you for kicking it. Follow us on Instagram at The Run Podcast. Follow the personal page as well at I am Manny Wilson. And then follow on YouTube as well at The Run Podcast, TikTok at The Run Podcast, Instagram at The Run Podcast. Other than that, send it to a cousin, a brother, a friend, a family member, coworker, anyone you know who enjoys sports. And I promise you they will not mind. But I'll be back later on next week, or later on this week, actually. It's only Monday. Damn. All right. Well, I'll be back later on this week, and so on and so on. And you got a positive note. So not just yet. All right, a positive note. How could I almost forget the positive note? Wow, that was almost terrible of me. I'm sorry about that, especially if you look forward to it. For the positive note, man, I'm just going to go out here and say, sometimes the challenges are put there to make you a little bit better. Sometimes things don't go your way because it's prepping you for something in the future. I mean, how can you ever learn if you already know everything? So, the challenges that's presented in front of you, be grateful for them. Try and embrace the process. That's what I'm currently trying to do. Embrace the process of everything, working hard, all of that. Because eventually it's going to teach you how to win in the future. It's going to teach you how to help the next generation, how to help others, how to help those who are close to you, those who are not even close. So I'm going to just leave y'all with that. Yeah, man, just embrace the challenge. All right, now I'm out of here. I'll see y'all later on this week, and so on and so on and so on.